properly noticed?
Yes.
Would you please call the roll?
Carlin?
Here.
Eliason?
Here.
Evans?
Here.
Garner?
Here.
Herzog?
Here.
Olmsted?
Here.
Peschel?
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, our next order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're delighted this evening to have 4 students with us from Roosevelt Elementary School. Let's welcome Mason Seeger, Jacob Seeger, Kennedy Maslowski, and Murphy Maslowski. Would you all please rise? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice.
And if you students would just hang on a second behind tonight. I use my good pen for you. So you can read it. We are always delighted to have students at our meetings because we're here learning. So we want to thank you for joining us, leading us in the pledge. And as a thank you, we sign a certificate for each of you from our school superintendent, Ryland, and from me. And for coming, you're welcome to stay for the meeting, but if you have other things to do, Murphy Maslowski. And Jacob. Thank you. All right, thanks for coming and joining us. All right, this is because we have what seems like a meeting. We have a budget hearing, and then we also have, so we will have on the proposed budget for 2018-2019.
That is what's also controls the revenue limit formula. We've talked about the revenue limit formula that controls what you as a board can tax. It really controls that general operating fund. So this shows where the money comes from, and I look at just funds 10 and 27, because if you add all the funds together, that kind of skews it a little bit. Obviously, our major source of revenue is from the state. 58% of our budget is from state revenue. 35% of our budget is from property taxes. So those are the two, between the two of them, that's roughly 80 to 90% of the district's budget, and that's what's controlled by the revenue limit formula. So that is why public school districts have been hurt, is that is what is controlled by the revenue limit formula. In the last few years, that has had a very minimal increase. So in our revenues, we did get a $200 per pupil increase in this new aid called per pupil aid. But there was no increase in the revenue limit formula. The reason I find this a little disturbing is when it's on the revenue limit formula, even though that hits property tax payers, that's harder to take away. Now granted, when Act 10 happened, they did reduce everybody's revenue limit by $500 per pupil. So there's nothing that says they couldn't do that again. But if we now get $654 per pupil, or $2.1 million in per pupil aid, and that's directly money from the state. So if the state has a bad year, they could just wipe that out, and the way the law is now, districts could not tax to make up that difference. Under the revenue limit formula, if they take away our equalization aid, we can tax to make up the difference. This new per pupil aid that they started, if they decide some year that the state government can't afford that anymore, we could not tax to make up the difference. So that's what it concerns me a little bit, but that increases in this budget. Our federal grants are going down. We have a $424,000 decrease in our federal grants. We do have some new grants. The school safety grant is $459,000, and you've heard a board presentation on that. A lot of that is used for security cameras and shatterproof, bulletproof glass coverings and a variety of other things. That's one-time money. We have applied for an extension. There was more money made available because other districts did not claim their money. So we've applied for another 600 and some thousand. I don't have the exact number with me, but that has not been guaranteed. We haven't received confirmation that we're getting that. That is also not in this budget. Neither of them, the 459, nor the additional 600,000 that we applied for. That is not in here because we had the budget done before that was.
Sue,
Mhm.
those numbers, the school safety grant, those dollars can only be spent on projects related to security, right?
Correct. And they can only be spent on what we said we were gonna spend them
They were
on when
earmarked
we
in the-
filed for the grant. We did get a $75,000 school-based mental health grant and a $5,000 transition readiness grant. This one shows where the money goes. As you can see, between salaries and benefits, it's 81% of our budget goes to people, which I never apologize for that. We are in the people industry. We don't make widgets. We don't have factory lines with lots of $1 million of an equipment. We are in the people business. So 80% of our budget is people, and it should be that way. So in our expenditures, we have 2.8 behavioral specialists added, and this is we're using savings from staffing reductions. So this budget is people neutral, for the most part. We added food service staff, but that's in a separate budget. This budget for them is people neutral. There are no additions, but we are adding 2.8 behavioral specialists again, but using savings from reducing staff elsewhere. It assumes a 1.26 CPI increase, though the posted CPI, the board could negotiate up to a 2.13 CPI. Doing that, though, would have resulted in just shy of a $700,000 deficit if you would have offered employees a 2.13. In this district, employees get the CPI plus advancement on the salary schedule. Not all districts do it that way. Some districts include salary schedule movement within the CPI. Because we have not looked at it that way, it would have caused a $700,000 deficit if we would have given the full CPI. It includes an 8% health insurance increase. So none of the proposals later that you will hear about regarding health insurance are in this budget. This budget just takes our current health insurance, gives it an 8% increase. One of the federal government requirements this year was that we now have to budget by building. And that is not reflected in this book yet because it's still kind of a work in progress. As I can continue to work on this book, we will do more to present to the board how that budget looks per building. So we moved approximately $53 million from district-wide or general, like there's like general elementary. So like as an example, one of the digits in our account codes that we have to use shows location. We would budget all elementary teachers in 100 location because that's elementary school. So it didn't matter if you taught at Oaklawn or Oakwood or Perry Tippler or Tippler. It was all, that Tippler's not a good example, that's a middle school. It all was in the 100 area. We now have to break that out to each individual building. Same thing with middle schools, same things with high schools. So that's why it was kind of a devastating move for us from a time standpoint, because that was a lot of expenditures that we had to move from just general district to individual buildings. And now from a management standpoint, it's going to be, every time a person moves buildings, or if a person's in multiple buildings and their percentages changes, this really adds a lot of additional work to HR and to accounting to keep track of all of that. But the federal government wanted building level reporting. What they're going to do, what DPI does then, is it's going to take a look at what we have reported at every single building level, and then they're going to take district-wide costs, because there are some things that we do not split out, like my salary. My salary is not divided by 21 buildings. I'm district-wide, superintendent's district-wide. There's a lot of costs that are district-wide that aren't divided. DPI is going to take that pot of district-wide costs and show it as an extension to every single building. So they'll take that lump cost, divide it by the number of students in each building, and so then each building will have the cost that we've allocated to that building, plus an allocation based on what we do district-wide. Does that kind of make sense?
So they're gonna get a dollar amount per something, like what's the end result?
The end,
It's a
then
ratio.
end result will be two things. There'll be a cost per building, so we'll
Okay.
be able to look at what we spend at each individual building, and then from that, we will look at what we spend per child per building.
There we go, okay.
You know, what I find, I shouldn't editorialize so much, but I'm gonna make one comment. In an education, because of the way our salary schedules are situated, we have teachers that are making $70,000 and we have teachers that are making $40,000. So if you have a building with more experienced staff, it's going to look like you spend a lot more at that building when it's maybe just the level of experience at that building. You could have a building that has teachers with less experience all making in the 40,000 range, who are also very qualified teachers, but because they're new, you're paying them in the $40,000 range. So those two buildings could have really skewed cost per building or cost per student just because of the level of experience in the building. So we really have tried to look at the school district as a system, not a system of schools. And this is really going to, I think, hurt some of that and could pit buildings against buildings. And I hope that that's not what happens, but.
The general budget, would that include nurses and janitors? I mean, are they gonna,
Everything
all
will
of them?
end up being
So
allocated
there's
out
certain
to the
schools that have
buildings.
more nurses than others too, because of certain students in that school, so that'll skew numbers too. Got it.
You have schools that have more special ed programs than other
Right,
schools.
yep.
Yes, there's a whole lot of
Yeah.
reasons that this data could be skewed.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
If I may.
Go ahead.
If I may, a lot of this is a part of a larger discussion that's occurring on a national level, especially when we're looking at right now, the federal government oftentimes, especially under the ESSA Act, they're wanting to know the costs at that per pupil level and at that school level, because they want to know that from an equity standpoint, that when we're looking at who has those more experienced teachers, is it the Title I schools, is it the non-Title I schools? So some of this is being utilized for those larger based conversations that are occurring, as I mentioned before, at that national level. And so Sue's comments are very important because of the way in which how this is going to be calculated. We need to be paying attention to from Wisconsin and from DPI, and how we're going to be reporting this information back out to the federal government, again because of the potential of skewing of some of that data for the mere fact of what was just mentioned, based upon student needs or potential programs that are specifically placed at particular schools that may or may not be a Title I school, and the costs that are associated with that. So hypothetically, if you have a non-Title I school, however, there's a need to have, per se, 2 nurses at that particular site, it may give a different picture than what the federal government is actually trying to achieve.
Thank you, Dr. Carter.
Thank you. You actually answered my question. I was gonna ask what the motivation is at the federal level
Right.
behind this change, so thank you.
Well, and I think as a system, we do a really good job of spending our resources equitably, but maybe not all districts are as good at that as we are, so maybe that's part of the concern. This is an estimate of the property tax levy. Again, please, this is just an estimate. We don't know this didn't have calculated our third Friday pupil count. This doesn't have our final state aid figure. This is also just an estimate of what I think property values will go up. So this is really just my shot in the dark of what I think the tax levy is going to be. And I always hate sharing it, but I know that that's part of a budget hearing, is to share what I anticipate the tax levy to be. But I think this is like the worst case scenario. I estimated a very minimal increase in state aid. So it looks like we are having a 1.62 increase in our property taxes. That would be the line just like before the box. Is our property taxes in 17-18 were 48.4 million. I project them to be 49.2 million, an increase of 784,000 or 1.62%. If I estimate a 1% increase in property values, which I also think is conservative. That would mean our mill rate would go from $9.59 to $9.75, or a 16-cent increase. I just want to remind you that that tax levy includes 2 operating referendums. So we have $7.9 million of operating referendum in that tax levy. So 3.9 comes off after the 2021 school year, and another $4 million comes off after the 22-23 school year. You know that, but just thought I'd remind you. So the next steps are, we need the 3rd Friday count in September, which is coming up. That is what the revenue limit formula is based on. So if that increases, we get more money to spend. If that decreases, we have less money to spend. Then in October, we get our equalization aid estimate from DPI, and that helps determine our tax levy. So if we get more state aid than I'm projecting, that lowers the tax levy. If we get less state aid than I'm projecting, you can levy to make up that difference. So then at the end of October, the last school board meeting in October, I would come forward with a recommended tax levy to approve. We certify that levy to all the municipalities the first week in November. Teresa actually does that. And then December, we start all over again. So that's kind of the process. I had a couple questions from a board member about some of the fund balances changes, so I thought I would explain some of those. First, you probably don't, if you have a book in front of you, page 18, I showed the different scenarios of our 18-19 budget with giving the full CPI, and then our 18-19 budget giving the reduced CPI. In the second row, I said row revenue provision. It should be low revenue provision. I proofread this like a gazillion times, and I didn't catch that one. And we did give employees a 1.26% CPI increase, and this is a 1.22. When I originally projected, it would take a 1.22 to have a 0 net budget. But we ended up giving, based on your recommendations, we ended up giving a 1.26, which would have made about a $30,000 deficit. But because of retiree costing and people leaving and new people coming in, we were able to absorb that in the budget. So we have a balanced budget, even though we gave a 1.26 instead of a 1.22.
Thank you, Mrs. Schnorr.
And there was another question about Fund 21. It's on page 35. It's what's called a special projects fund. It's where we put donations. If it's a small donation, someone donates $100, we take it in and we spend it. But if someone donates a significant amount of money, this is the fund that DPI would like you to use. And if you can see, in 17-18, we received donations totaling $636,000, but we only spent $410,000. So when you look at the published budget that I published, the Special Projects Fund shows that the fund balance in the Special Projects Fund went from $383,000 to $609,000. That is simply because, for whatever reason, and I don't have an answer, why we didn't spend some of those donations. We had 2 fairly large donations this last year. One was in Oshkosh West Athletics, and I know that they are working on spending that. I'm guessing it was just the timing of when revenues came in versus expenditures. And there was another significant gift, $91,000, but I didn't have a chance to look to see where that was either. But that's the reason, is we took in more donations in that fund than we spent.
Thank you very much for your explanations.
There was another one on the debt service on page 38. 17-18 was the first year of our last energy efficiency borrowing. And just the way the debt was structured, and our financial advisors structure the debt, I don't do that. They structured it so that there was a large debt payment the first year. So if you look on page 38, it shows that we made a $3.8 million debt payment when we usually make a little over $1 million debt payment. We had to levy for that the year before, because debt is due in the fall, but we don't get tax money till January. So we are taxing in January, like when we set the tax levy this fall, we're actually taxing for debt that's due in the fall. I don't know if that's probably, I didn't say that very clearly, but we levied in 16-17 for debt that was due in the fall of 17-18. So if you look on page 38,
So the next year.
the end of 16-17 has considerably higher revenues, so then that debt service fund had a large balance, but then in 17-18, we made a larger than normal debt payment, so that will go down.
Thank you. Absolutely.
And Ms. Schnorr, can you also explain to us just a little bit about the budget process? In other words, how our district's budgeted? I know that we are on a somewhat of a cycle, and where we are in that particular cycle at this point in time for the good of the knowledge.
You mean like from a state budget
Yes.
standpoint? The state is usually on a 2-year budget. We are in the second year of a 2-year biennium, so most of these numbers are, well, except for the state aid number, because that changes every fall, they're pretty solid numbers. Heading into a new state budget concerns me a little bit, because we could have a new governor, we could have the same governor, we could have a different legislature. There's so many unknowns going forward that I'm a little worried about what the state budget for 1921 will do to public education.
And just clarifying, that would be for the next potential 2 years, not 1 year.
Correct.
Thank
So
you.
now we as a district budget on an annual basis. So this is your budget for 18-19, but it's the second year of a state budget. It's the 17-19 state budget. Now, the state legislature is going to spend this whole year deliberating the 1921 state budget. And there are a lot of unknowns at this point for that.
Thank you for that clarification for the good of the knowledge.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments by board members at this time? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Schnorr. A lot of work went into that report.
For like 5 slides.
A lot of work.
I know you like to keep it simple, but, so I try.
All right, so the next agenda item is would be the guidelines for public comments to be established by the school board president. We will have public comments in this budget hearing, and during our regular meeting, we will also have an opportunity for non-agenda and agenda-related public forum. So let me just read the guidelines for the public comments section tonight.
This is just for the budget, correct?
This is just for the budget. Thank you for that clarification. Any individual who would like to address the board for a non-agenda or agenda, is this the right one?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I've got 2 here and I was a little confused. I'll start over. Guidelines for public comment. Any individual who would like to address the board for a non-agenda or agenda-related item may do so by signing up at the door by the boardroom entrance, which is out there. The board president will call for you to speak at the appropriate time. Once called, you will need to clearly state your name and address and the topic you wish to address. If you are acting as a spokesperson for a particular group of individuals, please indicate the group you represent. Please understand that in accordance with parliamentary procedure, this is your opportunity to testify before the board. It is not a question and answer session, nor is it an opportunity to engage in debate with the board. Staff are available to meet with you after you speak should you have any questions, and board members are always happy to meet with you after the meeting should you wish to address your concerns, and issues of concerns with them. And that doesn't mean they have to be immediately after this meeting. They could be in the next several days via phone or email or however you would want to do that. 3 minutes have been allotted for each speaker. Please limit your comments to the allotted 3 minutes. Remember that the use of specific names of district personnel may lead to legal liability. In such cases, please pursue the district's formal complaint process by contacting the superintendent's office at 424-0160 to direct you to the appropriate administrator. And finally, due to the number of people present and the board wanting to provide opportunities for all points to be heard within a reasonable time period, if there is a group present who will be expressing the same points, we ask that a representative present the information on behalf of the group, and that individual state who they are and who they are representing. Also, if you are not present with a group of people and a point has already been made, it is requested that you highlight your point quickly to allow all speakers an opportunity to present within a reasonable period of time.
Are you just taking comments on the budget?
Yep.
On the budget, anything related to the budget.
We have
One.
So we have,
For the budget.
Mr. Paul Stelflug.
What an entrance.
I hope this is the right time to speak. Paul
It
Stelflug,
is.
401 South Webster Avenue in Omro. I teach at Oshkosh West, as does my wife, so I guess I speak on her behalf, which if that's another group according to parliamentary procedures, so be it. I just urge you to really consider about the changes in the district's healthcare coverage for the teaching staff, administration, and so on. I'm very concerned. Two primary things is that.
Point of order, this is supposed to be on the budget, that other
Just the
comments come
budget.
later.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said, okay.
Yeah.
So, you'll have to make that great entrance in a little bit.
Great. I don't know if I can.
We encourage you to come back.
In like 5 minutes.
It'll be about 5 minutes. Is there anyone who wants to speak on the budget?
Did he leave? Is he leaving?
I think
Or did
he's
he
back.
stay?
I think he's out in the hallway.
Okay. Go ahead, I'll stop him. Thanks, Felicia.
Is there anyone who wants to speak on the budget? All right. Seeing none, then we will adjourn and open up our regular meeting where there will be an opportunity to address agenda items and non-agenda items. And the same guidelines for public comment would apply.
So, motion to adjourn.
We will need a motion to adjourn.
So moved, or no, second, I'm gonna second that,
Okay,
sorry.
please call the roll.
Harlan?
Aye.
Harlan, aye. Eliason?
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Evans?
Aye.
Evans, aye. Garner?
Aye.
Garner, aye. Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Olmsted?
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Peschel?
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Motion carried.
Okay, we are adjourned then. And now we will open the regular board meeting for September 12th, 2018. I just like to do that.
Point of order, did we take the list for people to still sign up on for the non-agenda?
Yep, and we'll ask them if they,
We're
if
gonna
there's
give
anybody
everybody a
else.
chance.
Right, that's
Everybody
fine.
sign up.
Yep.
That's fine, I just wanna make sure that we're not taking away something that we
Yeah,
said is out there that,
Yep.
Right.
that allows them to sign up. So-
Thank you, Mr. Peschel. Are we in compliance with the open meeting law for this regular scheduled board meeting?
Yes, yes.
And would you please call the roll?
Harlan?
Here.
Eliason?
Here.
Evans?
Here.
Garner?
Here.
Herzog?
Aye.
Olmsted?
Here.
Peschel?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. We will move into board and administrative reports, and that will be followed by non-agenda public forum and then agenda-related public forum. We start with the president's report. I am delighted tonight that we have two students who will be joining us throughout the 2018-2019 school year. Emmeline Liskey is a senior at Oshkosh North High School, and she's representing the student cadre from the Spartans, the land of the Spartans. And Michaela Heath, a senior at Oshkosh West, will be representing the land of the Wildcats in this upcoming year. And we're delighted to have their voices on the board to give us a perspective from the students whom we serve. So thank you very much, ladies, for joining us. And it looks like, are they on the agenda? Yes, they are. Are they giving their reports here, or they are? No. Okay, so looks like the Spartans are starting tonight.
Alright.
You can go ahead.
You can stay
We've
right
got a
there.
lot of other
Okay.
things,
Just-
yeah,
yep.
just start
Alright.
talking.
Well, yeah, we've had a lot of great things happening so far in the first couple of weeks at Oshkosh North. You can tell it's going to be a really great year. The first thing that we started with was a welcome back staff breakfast put on by Student Council. We had a ton of volunteers there, and it was great for the staff and student council and to get oriented and to start out the year. We've had some changes in administration at North. We have a new principal, Mrs. Kiffmeyer, and new assistant principal, Mrs. Last. This has been a really exciting change for us. It's also brought on some new policies, such as new stricter cell phone policies and hall pass policies, which have been a challenge at the beginning of the year, but they're getting easier as we go on, and I can tell that it's going to be a good change. Athletics at North, we have a ton of really dedicated athletes, and we can tell from how the year has been so far. Girls tennis is 4-0 right now. Boys soccer is 5-2, which is excellent. Volleyball has had their first victory last Thursday. Girls golf has had many FVA victories so far. Our cross country team this year has over 50 runners, and we have several students who were state runners last year returning, so there's great prospects for that team. Our football team has been working really hard. They've had a lot of tough competition, but they're really growing as a team. Girls swimming and diving have had a lot of individual time improvement this year. So great start for athletics at North.
Very nice. Thank you, Emily.
She's still going.
Okay.
Okay, good.
A little bit more. And then we have some school spirit. That's we love supporting our sports team. Okay. And then we welcomed everyone to their first full week of school with snacks sponsored by Verve this year. It was great. And music to get everyone pumped up for their first Monday. And then some stuff coming up, homecoming, sports playoffs, Spooktacular, our Halloween community event, and fall play.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Michaela?
Okay, hello everyone. I'm the representative for Oshkosh West. We really started off the year really well. We all got busy really fast. So starting off with athletics, being on the tennis team, I know we've had a great season. We've had a really great time all just coming together, and we've had a great season. Also, after talking to some others on the other teams, the swim team is currently 3-1, and the soccer team is currently 3-1 also. The volleyball team is also doing very well. Athletics, the football team unfortunately lost to Kimberly this last Friday, losing 14-44, but they are playing Fondy on Friday, so hopefully that they can pull out a win. Choir is doing very well. They have a lot of new freshmen coming in. The altos have gained 10 new members, so that is definitely a plus. Orchestra is working hard for their upcoming concert. Band, here are the directors for the band. They
It's a
are
small band.
the directors at the front of the show.
Yeah.
They are working very hard into the summer. They had pep band. They have been at football games. They're really cheering on the school and really getting everyone hyped for the games. Clubs, being very involved, I know a lot about them, but these pictures are a little bit old because they're all just getting started. Index, the school newspaper, is off and running right now. We have production next week, and we are hoping to get our first issue out by the end of the month. Robotics spent their last summer in China after getting into the international competition, and they did very well. Mock Trial is starting their upcoming season with the regional competition working towards in February. And SAVE, the Student Athletic Volunteer Experience, is a group of selected athletes who all come together and really get involved in the community. So I have to say it's a great time being in that club to really get involved. Clubs, also again, the math team, I know a lot of people involved in that. They are looking forward to the season, just really being able to challenge themselves and be in the competition. Network is also a great experience for a lot of people. And O'Neill National Honor Society, as you can see, there are a lot of members in that, and they all take great pride in being a part of it. Clubs again, Blue Vibes, the school store, is going to be reopening next week. We have a new faculty member running it, Mr. Van Aken. He's doing a great job. He's also going to be running DECA. Stride, the members who are a part of that are doing great things within the school and really getting the word out. And Project West, similar to at North, a lot of school spirit, really getting involved, getting set. And upcoming events, the Wildcat Cafe is officially open, and we will be holding evacuation drills on Friday. And more upcoming events. Homecoming week is October 1st through the 5th. Homecoming football game at 7 if you guys want to come. It's against the North, October 5th. And then homecoming is October 6th with the theme of Disney. And then have a great month.
I think Dr. Cartwright might be interested in that Disney theme.
For some odd reason.
For
That'd be a
background
good
in
time.
Florida. That's great. That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, good
Do you
job.
wanna move this along?
Give it to Cam.
Thank you.
I attended the CISA 6 Board of Control last night on behalf of our board, and I just want to share with you some information on a podcast that the executive director of CISA 6, Dr. Ted Knightsky, puts on. I will be sending all the board members the email on this. They're very thought-provoking. They have a buffalo theme. It's very interesting.
Did you say buffalo?
Buffalo, yes.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Very interesting. Kind of a clip-clop at the beginning, but it really makes you think.
Okay.
Okay, so that's that piece. I just want to give a shout out. There are so many people we could celebrate, and that's kind of a theme this year. But I just want to give a shout out to Andrew Schaller from Oshkosh West High School for the tremendous job he's done on the Veterans Honor Hall. Several of us has had a chance to attend that open house, as it were, last evening. He's representative of many in the district who go above and beyond what we expect our teachers to do in the classroom, and the many positive ways that they have an impact on our students. So thank you to Mr. Schaller for all he's doing along those lines, and the staff who've prepared the workshops, including Mrs. Schnorr and Dr. Gunlock and Mrs. Conrad tonight. I know that a lot of work has gone into those, and of course, Dr. Cartwright for the many things that she has prepared for this evening. And I should also mention, I'm going to miss somebody here, I'm sorry about that, but Belinda Pinkston, our new HR director for the many personnel resolutions, will be looking at this evening, so thank you. So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Cartwright for the superintendent's report.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. So last Tuesday to be official, was the very first day of school starting for the 2018-19 school year. And we were very excited to welcome back all of our students. It was filled with excitement and smiles, as you can see up there. While it was impossible to capture all of the amazing things that was happening in all of our schools, we made every effort in order to put together a short video just to help our community see and experience the first day of school in the Oshkosh Area School District. That video can be found on this slide, so anyone who would like to go back in the future and just kind of watch it and see what it looks like, please feel free and welcome to do so. And I invite you to take a look to see all of those wonderful first day of school smiles. And again, great things are happening here at the district, and we're so excited for the year ahead. We are also very grateful for the many community organizations and businesses that have donated school supplies to our students and teachers. Emmeline Cook students benefited from the generosity of the Fletcher Chiropractic, as well as Merrill and Jefferson Elementary Schools being grateful to receive numerous donations from New Life Community Church. These are just a few examples of our generous community partners, and we certainly appreciate all of those who have helped our students and our families get ready for the school year, as well as even providing supplies to our teachers as they're assisting our students. Students, staff, and families at Carl Traeger Elementary know that kindness rocks. The school community welcomed the author of Rock on Kindness, Pass It On, a children's book that tells a story of a child that likes to paint and hide rocks to bring happiness to others. Our students were able to ask questions and participate in a rock painting activity during this special program. Students at Reed Elementary School had a new way to refresh their math skills this past year. The school launched a summer math program, which included mini lessons and math-based games. At the end of every week, the students had a new game to take home and practice. School staff members recently participated in the Source of Strength Adult Advisory Training. The training provided an opportunity for our adult advisors to become more familiar with the program and experience hands-on training themselves before leading the training with their students. Source of Strength is a universal youth suicide prevention program designed to harness the power of peer social networks to change unhealthy norms and culture, ultimately preventing suicide, bullying, and substance abuse. This program is just one example of the mental health resources and supports we provide our students here in Oshkosh Area School District. The district also launched the Sources of Strength program last year, and we're looking forward to seeing our students continue to embrace the program and use their sources of strength to get through life's tough times and to seek help from trusted adults. We're also extremely appreciative of the adults who participate in this program in order to provide appropriate resources for our students and supporting them through some potentially difficult times. In our district, we know that for students to be successful, our teachers must have the tools and the support that they need to bring innovation into every lesson. With this commitment, the district recently completed its Learning Without Limits staff rollout. Approximately 900 teachers turned in their outdated Chromebooks and received their new touch-enabled Flip Chromebooks. Our staff members also participated in professional development on digital citizenship, Go Guardian Teacher, Flip Chromebook Basics, Google 2.0, and increased productivity using Google. The district recently partnered with Fox Valley Technical College to host a college, career, and community ready day for our high school teachers. The teachers toured all 3 Fox Valley Technical College Oshkosh campuses to learn more about what it means to be college, career, and community ready in 2018 and beyond. These tours provided our teachers with a better understanding of opportunities available to our students after they graduate high school. Before the school year started, all of our elementary school teachers spent some time reflecting on why. Why teach? Why become elementary school teachers? Throughout the year, we'll be spotlighting a few of our teachers and sharing their inspirational reflections. Our first 3 teachers that we're highlighting for you this evening that you can see on the screen show us the passion that they have for teaching and the incredible impact that they strive to make in the lives of our students. We're extremely grateful for these and for all of our teachers. We are all committed to building community through education, and as superintendent, I am committed to being present and engaged in our schools and throughout Oshkosh. On the screen, you'll see just a few examples of where I've been spending my time since our last board meeting. And I would like to say as well, though it's not listed up there, I have truly enjoyed my time being in the schools and going into classrooms and visiting with our teachers and our paraprofessionals and watching the interactions with our children. And many of you have given me opportunities to directly interact with our children as well. So thank you very much.
You're almost at 2 slides now. If you do any more, we're gonna need you.
Or the file will be so small we won't be able to read it. Thank you very much, Dr. Cartwright.
Thank you.
Okay, then are there any district administrator supplemental reports tonight?
Education.
Thank you.
So the Education Committee met on Thursday, September 6th. We got an update on the peer coaching program from Julie Dumke and Jenny Thompson. The program began in 2000 with the goal of increasing teacher retention, and it has been very successful. It's really about teachers giving support to other teachers, and among other things, peer coaches assist new staff with the evaluation system and help them develop SMART goals. This program is a point of pride for the district. Staff reports that they are impressed with the program. And while DPI requires a peer coaching, most districts do not have the program that we have. It's more like a buddy system, which does not provide intentional, regular focus to new staff. And we also heard some testimonials of teachers that have participated in the program and speak very highly of it. Peer coaches are consistently there, often going beyond the call of duty to help with the new teachers. The program is also supplemented by support seminars that are offered monthly. Seminars are well attended and are a great networking opportunity for new teachers. Julie and Jenny are very passionate about this program, and their energy is contagious. They reported that to make the program even stronger, they may be coming to the board to ask for a 0.5 FTE We currently fund 1.5 FTEs for this program, and they could use a little bit more, maybe coming around the corner. The meeting adjourned at 9:13, and our next meeting is October 11th at 8:30. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Carlin. Are there any other committee reports this evening? Okay, seeing none then, we'll move on to the reason I think many of you are here tonight, the public forum. We start with a non-agenda related public forum. I did not see anyone signed up for non-agenda. Is there anyone who did want to speak tonight? Remember, name, address, and 3 minutes to share your thoughts.
Does anybody want to speak that did not put their name yet on here?
All right, then let's move on to the agenda-related
He's on here.
public forum. Mr. Stelflu gave us a little teaser, so.
So I did intros before, so I'll just skip to the chase, thanks. And so I just speak out of my concern that I'm hoping we stick with Aurora in some way, shape, or form. I'm concerned that if we switch insurance companies, we have to go out of town for, if not all of our care, some of our care. I've got 4 daughters. My daughters have all been raised with their current doctor. They know him. They speak to him about private issues. My oldest is a teenager, and to hear her actually able to speak to her doctor about sensitive issues is amazing. And I'm just afraid if we start with a new doctor that's all gone. Additionally, the first time that my wife battled breast cancer, she went to her midwives, one of which delivered her second child. These are deep relationships. My wife is going on now a second battle, 11 years, and to have her relationship with her surgeon, her oncologist, and so on is precious to me, is obviously precious to her and our children as well. I won't belabor the point. I don't want to have to switch doctors. I've dedicated my 22 years career to this district. My wife is going on 23 years, and it would be a real kick in the butt if suddenly that this got pulled away from us. Thanks.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Ashley Manthe.
Thank you so much for hearing all of us. We greatly appreciate it. When I decided to leave my last district of 7 years to move and relocate,
The name and address?
to relocate closer,
Okay. Sorry.
to relocate closer, everyone always said, "Are you sure you want to leave? The grass isn't always greener." And I've spoken volumes about how amazing Oshkosh has been since coming here. Not only seeing you walk through the halls, the first week of school, I never once saw my superintendent of 7 years walk through the halls of my school. Just the things that they've offered, the PD, the resources, the investment in the curriculum is amazing. The benefits, the reason I didn't initially take the job is because I was checking if doctors were covered. And then when I was able to find that, I was able to accept the position. My concerns moving forward is my daughter was born with a rare genetic syndrome. She has glaucoma and 2 heart defects. We have had doctors, specialists. We've consulted with the pediatric head specialist at Duke, who referred us to our UW Health surgeon. Prior to that, our doctor at Fredert lacked bedside manners, didn't understand children, and ultimately her care risk is the reason that my daughter is blind in her right eye. So after switching to UW Health, finding this amazing doctor who loves my child and loves my family, full well knowing that moving forward, switching specialists to me isn't an option. I'm an advocate for my child and for my family, and leaving a job in January is not what I want to have to do. But giving us options in a network where there are more than just a narrow option of doctors, but maybe seeing what else is out there for people like me and people like all of my colleagues and their families. Like I said, I just want you guys to be open to supporting the employees and having access to a bigger network, because I know, like me, we're advocates, for ourselves and our children. But like I said, I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate the thought, and the compassion that you guys are putting in moving forward, making this decision. I know it's incredibly tough, but I just wanted you guys to know I appreciate you hearing us out.
Thank you very much for sharing. Next, we'll hear from Alicia Herman. Please state your name and address.
My name is Alicia Herman. I live at 501 Congress Avenue. And I'm coming to this board meeting tonight to speak to all of you about, I love that Mrs. Schnorr said that we're in the human business and we work with children every single day. And it is important to all of us what we do and what we give our kids. And without our health, we can't give our kids 100%. So what I'm hearing from a lot of my staff members and my friends and my colleagues is that they're fearful that, they have stuck with the Oshkosh Area School District. They've dedicated their careers and their lives. And, as people move on for more money, they've stayed. And they've stayed through salary freezes and budget cuts. And the one thing we've always been able to count on is our quality health care and our choices. And to think of so many of our staff members having to worry about that, especially at the beginning of the school year, not to mention January 1 switching. And a lot of concern is, losing those relationships. And that's what we build our careers on. We build our careers on making relationships with children. And we rely on those relationships with our pediatricians and with our doctors and with the specialists that we have. And to give us more of a choice with our providers is what we want. What I'm hearing from a lot of people is we don't want to change. And I understand that there's a budget and that you have to save money. But, quality versus quantity is one of those things. And we have endured budget cuts and we have sacrificed. And we didn't get into this business to make money. We got into this business to make a difference in children's lives. And so I look at my colleagues and I want them to know that they have that choice. And quality health care is a basic element that all of us deserve. And the Oshkosh Area School District has always been there to provide that with us. And there's fear, that $4 million mark, and switching us and causing so much, change in so many people's lives. Looking at the greater good, what is best for us as teachers and as employees so we can take care of our children. So when you look at those plans, I want you to consider, yes, you have to make budget cuts and you have to save money, but you also owe it to us to think about how, it's important that we're here to save lives and we're here to change lives. And I just want you to consider that. And I appreciate everyone taking that into consideration. So thank you.
Next is Michelle Klett. Again, please state your name and your address.
Hi, I'm Michelle Klett. I reside at 1032 Mount Vernon Street. I am speaking on behalf of the OEA. On Monday, we had an OEA members meeting and many concerns came forward to us, along with many phone calls and many emails between the three presidents. And so I'm just going to give some high points of the things that are some concerns for us. First of all, we know there hasn't been a decision made. We know you're going to be talking about this. But there is some concern about the network health plan and the narrow network and how that would affect the members and the teachers and the staff in the district. Some of the things that have come up are because of the narrow network, it is the religious providers in our area. The religious providers, the women's health care is a big thing for our members. Also, our same-sex partners are concerned about getting, having the respect and being able to get the needs that they have met in the system. One of the things that I think is a big thing is, are they going to be able to provide all of our members to move over or all of our employees to move over? One of the things, somebody came to me yesterday and they said, I can't find a family practitioner. I have a family practitioner. I can't find it on a network. I went on a network health plan network with her. We couldn't find anything. We put a search in for a family practitioner in the Oshkosh area, and it came up as 0 providers available. So we went onto the Mercy website and we looked again. And, well, some did pop up. 2 of them were doctors, 4 of them were nurse practitioners. All of them were women. She said, I don't know if my husband would go to a woman provider. But only 2 of them were doctors in that list. So I thought, let's check out, see if we can get an appointment. I went with one of the doctors and I started searching for an appointment. I found 2 days in October that provider had open. The rest of the year into next year, I could not find an appointment. Does that mean that she couldn't fit in an appointment someplace along the line? Probably not, but I wasn't able to find an opening throughout all next year. I went into December. So that is a huge problem. And if we don't have that availability to us here in Oshkosh, that means we have to travel someplace else, which means we'll have to travel to Appleton, we'll have to travel to Bellin, maybe Freighter, where that network is. And that will also cause harm for us to have to leave school because the appointments aren't going to be available after school. So we already have issues with sub-issues. So you'll have teachers pulling, or not pulling, but having to leave school to take their children to doctor appointments, us taking our kids or us going to appointments. And then the last thing is the retention of teachers. We know that we're going to lose teachers if we do change providers. We have teachers that have spent, I've been in the district for 23 years, and we've stayed because of certain things like the health insurance. Could we have left for $15,000, $20,000 more? Absolutely. We here because we have committed to the Oshkosh Area School District. We have children in the district, and people don't want to leave, and we have a high turnover. We don't want to lose quality teachers because of this. So thank you for listening.
Is there anyone who did not get a chance to sign up who would like to approach the board and speak? Please state your name and your address.
My name is John Ryland. I live at 3356 Leonard Point Lane. I'm also one of the OEA presidents. I'm a teacher at Oshkosh West and also a parent in the school district here. And I just want to continue on with what Michelle said there a little bit. I've looked up at this timer and I thought to myself, we've come a long way since Karen Bowen used to have the egg timer. Some people might know what I'm talking about here with this. But Sue said it best, we are in a people business. The number one thing that affects your child's education is the teacher. Don't trust me, just look at the data that's out there on that with it. And if you want good people, you need good health care. People come, it was unbelievable moving, hearing this speech. I forget your first name, right? Ashley's, our district is not the highest paying district, but in general, we have had good health care. And people are very, very concerned about this. I've fielded quite a few calls, and it's that concern that they have there with it. They don't want to wake up and have that, we got you kind of deal with this. They want to know before any kind of transition would happen. If we did make a change, they would like to know the changes before they happen with it. And I in the listening session, I kind of put out some of those. I don't know, what they are. I think just people need to be comforted with this. And psychologically, that goes a long way with this. So, we just don't want to wake up and find out, hey, we bought the wrong car here with this situation. Because healthcare is very, very, very important. And we know it's a debate on the whole national level here, but healthcare is a very important piece to a lot of people. I looked through the people that I had gotten emails for the other day, and 4 of them had cancer. I knew that they had suffered through cancer. So this is a very emotional. I'm stealing that from somebody who said that earlier, but healthcare is an emotional issue, and this can't be just a Willie thing, we have to be able to make sure that we're getting the best provider, and it's not just about the dollar on this with it. Thank you for your time. I appreciate everything you guys do here. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wanted to approach the board on this topic? Is there anyone else who would like to approach the board on this topic? Don't be shy. Is there anyone else who'd like to approach the board on this topic? Or actually, we do have another agenda item, and that is on Canvas and Infinite Campus data, so we do have two items tonight. All right, well, seeing none, we will then move into workshop session. And I thank all of you for coming tonight. Your presence speaks volumes about your interest and your concern about this topic. And as I invited you earlier in the meeting when I read off the list of guidelines for tonight, please feel free to contact any of the board members, as well as Mrs. Schnorr, who's been intimately involved with not only the budget, but the impact of health insurance on that budget for a number of months, as you saw from her presentation, as well as Dr. Cartwright. They're both very willing and interested in hearing your questions and your concerns. So we, as a board, know that this is a very complex topic. We take it very seriously. No decision has been made at this point. We will have an opportunity in closed session this evening to discuss the impact of health insurance and costs and so on, as well as quality of care. So we appreciate all the people who have reached out to us tonight, as well as prior to this evening, and we take all of your concerns very seriously. So thank you for sharing your viewpoints with us. You're more than welcome to stay. We do have a workshop item on Canvas and Infinite Campus usage. I've been assured it's not a very long report, even though they've spent a good deal of time preparing it, and then we will go into the workshop item on insurance. So you're either welcome to stay, or you can maybe stream this at home, or watch it on the replays on OCM. Thank you all for coming.
And if you're weighing your decision, we've been told to keep it well under 15 minutes. So if you're just wondering how long that piece of
Do they know that, do you think that they know that there's the health insurance, like that's the workshop of what she's giving us? Do they know that? Do you think they know? Yes.
Sure, let's take about a 2-minute
Catch
recess.
that before they go.
Okay.
I'm worried that they don't understand that.
Right. Take a 2-minute recess. We'll reconvene at about 7:15. Thank you.
Okay.
The Oshkosh Board of Education is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Board of Education is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Board of Education is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Board of Education is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly.
Items, however, some people were informed that the health would be in about 15 minutes, so in keeping with that, so we don't disenfranchise them, we will be happy to have Canvas and Infinite Campus next. Thank you very much.
Come on, guys.
All right. It's on, it's off, it's on, it's off.
Sorry, Sue, what do I know?
That's okay.
Life and career skill, flexibility, and adaptability.
All right, so we have with us this evening Ms. Conrad and Dr. Gunlock to talk about two of our means of communicating with parents and keeping them and their students informed about progress in the Oshkosh School District. So
that was a
you're
good
on.
tee up.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about Infinite Campus and Canvas usage, and one of the first things that we wanted to do was kind of differentiate what are the two different systems used for, because we tend to throw around a lot of acronyms, and we don't do that intentionally. It's just sometimes that works better. Infinite Campus is our student information system, so we sometimes refer to that as an SIS. Canvas is our learning management system. Infinite Campus was the first one on the scene, and it's used as a data warehouse for all our student data. It holds all our behavior, our attendance, our demographics, our assessments. It's our online gradebook and transcript of record. It is also used for our mandatory state reporting, so you have to have that system in place. It does serve as our district data warehouse, so all of the core data components are living there, even though they may be pulled by something like EduClimber. That's where they're residing and they're being pulled out of that system. Now, Canvas came in later in the game, and we'll hear a little bit more about that in a second, but it is a learning management system. So it's really a digital learning space that the students and the teachers use often at the secondary level for course materials, discussions, content, creating hybridized, personalized courses. It does have an online gradebook component, and we do allow staff to use that as well, as long as they transit the grades back to Infinite Campus, which is our gradebook of record. It's also used extensively for professional development. It's even used for professional development on how to use Canvas. We kind of refer to that as eating our own dog food on occasion, where we're using it to teach ourselves about that same product. Come on, there we go. So the history is kind of relevant here in terms of Infinite Campus. Back in 2010, our data systems did not talk to each other at all. Part of what Sue talked about in terms of what the state is doing that's starting to tie our data together, that would be flatly impossible back in 2010. None of our buckets were connected, and we were pretty disconnected. I think at one point we had principals coming up to this very table, and they kept showing spreadsheets, and every time they'd bring up what they were doing with data, usually Allison would turn and look at me, I was sitting over there, and people kept saying, well, Dave, can't we fix this? And we were in the process of doing it, but we really needed a state-of-the-art student information system that had the ability to connect in with other data sources, and Infinite Campus became that system for us. Now, we wanted to select a system somewhere around 10-11, maybe 11-12, but the state at that time was doing a statewide RFP. They were going to pick a statewide student information system in one shot. We'd all use it. State reporting would virtually go away because they'd pull the data right from there. All of us were pretty excited about that. In 2012, Infinite Campus was selected as the statewide student information system. Promptly, there was some lobbying that went on by some of their competitors, and the Joint Finance Committee defunded the project. So we do have a statewide student information system that never got any funding, so it just sits on the shelf. Most districts, most large districts especially, went to Infinite Campus within the next 48 months. So, well, within the next 24 months, actually. And we actually went to the system and adopted it in 2013. About 2 years later, after we had passed the 2014 referendum for learning, we made the decision to purchase a learning management system to tie together with that. And that's where Canvas came on the scene. And in 2017, we realized that the data dashboarding system that IC had was not robust enough, and it certainly wasn't as easy to use as it needed to be for our practitioners and our teachers and our principals to be able to use it. And that's where EduClimber came on the scene. So those are our main systems. And that is the history of Infinite Campus. This is not working.
There it went.
All right. The history of Canvas, well, as you heard, in 2014, our Learning Without Limits initiative was approved as a part of the 2014 referendum. One of the things that we did right away is we broke up into various teams. There were 7 teams. Some of you may know this. One of the teams was Learning Management System Selection. So what we did, there it goes, was the first thing that our team decided was, did we even need a learning management system? So they checked with other districts that had one-to-one implementation years before us, and they found that those districts that didn't have one wanted one. And almost everybody put one in place because they needed a digital workspace. So we decided to go ahead and proceed. That committee created the rubric. That committee evaluated all the vendors who came in, and they evaluated them on ease of use, curriculum integration, technology operations and support, and the unanimous decision was to recommend Canvas at the time. So in 2015 we adopted it, and then they turned, because as part of the demos, they saw what the gradebook could do. And they all turned and pivoted to Julie and I, who were sitting in the back of the room. We were not voting members, we just made sure they followed their own rubric. And they said, could we potentially use this or give this as a choice for teachers? And at the time, we thought maybe, yeah. We realized what would happen as a result of having 2 different grade books, and there's a downside to that. The upside was what ruled the day. So the next phase was to begin to reach out to parents in terms of both IC and Canvas. And here's some of the things that we do ongoing as well as we've done historically. So school-based communications, newsletters, teacher contact with parents, usually through their syllabus where they have to declare, here's where we're going to be using, here's the grade book we're going to be using and where you go to get that information. We do our Parent Learning Without Limits meetings. Every time we do a rollout at the student level, we do it in June and August. And what I do is sort of highlight what you're seeing here today with the parents. We did 2 additional parent meetings at both North and West. Julie and I both did those to kind of explain what you're seeing here today, because there was some confusion on, I have two systems here. Why would I have two systems, and how do those two work together? We do tech integrator sessions on parent information nights because some of our parents don't necessarily have a portal account. Some of them aren't quite sure how to get into things, and we provide that service at all of our parent information nights. Campus messenger notifications, which is what we use for our emergency communication, that has been a great asset to us because it's given parents another reason to go in here and begin using this. Obviously we televise our workshops, and we do an annual emergency communication test. Every time we have a snow day or a potential district emergency, we see a drastic uptick in the number of parents who set up a portal account, or they modify the email or addresses or phone numbers that may have changed. So we are seeing a lot of activity with that. And to date, 84% of our students have at least one parent using a portal account, which is actually quite high. We're not satisfied with that, but that's a pretty good place to start right now, that 84% of our kids are covered with that.
So another consumer of our student information system in our Canvas, besides our parents and our students, are our staff. So how have we reached out to staff members? We are constantly gathering input via either our technology integrators, our instructional support teachers, and our staff. I feel like we have a good relationship with our staff. My assistant, Paige Smoody, and I are constantly communicating with staff and supporting them, and we gather input from them. They are definitely will email me and let me know what's going on with them, how we can assist, support, and suggestions. Just recently I got an email from one of our math teachers at the high school level that had a suggestion. I said, that's great, let me look into that for you. We have done face-to-face meetings with staff. Just recently, Dave and I went over to Oshkosh West High School this spring and took questions and took feedback from staff on how can we make your experience within Infinite Campus and within Canvas better. We also have utilized staff feedback to provide feature requests for both Infinite Campus and Canvas. We actually had educators right here in this room meeting with Infinite Campus when we first rolled out the gradebook, actually 1 year into it, where they were providing feedback directly to Infinite Campus programmers to say, how can we make the gradebook and the experience for the teacher better? And several of those features were actually added into that. So, for example, the teachers requested that they be able to scroll, the screen on the side freeze, and they be able to scroll through and see their students and be able to score. Infinite Campus put that into place. They asked for going across in the columns to make it easier to enter scores and scroll also to the right. Infinite Campus put that feature in there. We have just recently, we feel like we're going to get the next feature update that we requested, which would be able to collapse and expand standards for the viewer, because a lot of times there's a lot of information and it's good information, but sometimes you want to quickly look at a grade or a score rather than trying to scroll through everything. And so that collapsible feature, it looks like it is coming in some of the updates that are coming that way. So that feedback has been taken. And then the other piece is that Infinite Campus and Canvas have met with us specifically and asked us, since we are high users and we're using this, our educators are really using these tools effectively, they've asked us to provide information, and they've used our input in their products and to source their material for white papers in their research.
So a couple of more questions that we often get from parents, and we get them often enough that we put them in an FAQ document. Thanks, Kim.
Is what is a LMS, and we call it a learning management system. And so you can read the definition up there, but basically when I talk about a learning management system, it's really what we used to be our binder, folder, and notebook system is what our learning management system for both the teacher and the student. It's really a way to help organize the digital content and be able to communicate back and forth with it. And so we're just like binders and folders were really well organized for some people back in the days of paper, we're going to have electronic binders and folders in our learning management system really well organized, and we put guidelines in place to help us do that. And how it supports students, they get content and materials pushed to them. It creates the knowledge base on the teacher expectations, so you can quickly and easily in a in a very formatted and organized way, find out what's expected by the teacher for both the student and for the parent, and I'll talk about parents. They can see, a student can see just by clicking through into their grades where they are exactly and get real time and they don't have to wait the next day to get their papers back or the feedback from the teacher. They can log in and look directly into the learning management system and see the feedback on their different assignments. For teachers, they are interacting with students in real time. It may be in the evening and it may be during class time. They increase student participation. Students can be entering their stuff into the learning management system into Canvas either verbally, via video, actually typing it in. They can provide a lot of feedback, and I would say that's the biggest thing for teachers as I'm talking with them in the Canvas, is the level of feedback and the amount of feedback that they can provide to students in a way that they were never able to do without having that learning management system. And for parents, when I talk with parents about having a learning management system, when you are able to log in, as a parent, you are doing something called masquerading inside of Canvas and learning management system. So you are essentially opening up your child's digital backpack and you are seeing everything that is happening in that child's course. You can see the feedback. There are no missing papers or missing assignments because you can see everything that's been submitted by your child and everything that comes back from the teacher. And so the level of information that you can see is greater than you have ever seen before when you go inside there, because you're stepping into that teacher's digital classroom and you're stepping into that child's digital learning space.
So one of the questions that we often get is, well, do other districts do this as well? And as you can see there, the answer is yes. Not everybody's using exactly the same combination we are, but everybody is using some form of a student information system paired with a learning management system. The only districts that don't seem to key in a learning management system are usually those that don't have much of a technology implementation. They don't have as much of a need, nor did we prior to giving students a device. It's also important to understand that the UW system is using Canvas. They're transitioning to that right now. It started with Madison and now it's moved out to the outlying campuses. Over the next couple of years they're going to be transitioning. So while not all of our kids obviously go to the UW system schools, if they do, they'll be able to transition quite well, quite effectively. The other question is, so why don't we just mandate Canvas usage for gradebook or pick one or the other? One of the things that we're really high on is teacher autonomy and giving teachers the ability to choose the tool that works best for them and their students. And giving them two good choices is always a good idea, because then they can, based upon the particular class they have and the particular what they're trying to do with the system, they can pick the best tool for the job. We do support their decision with a lot of professional development and assistance. That's a lot of what our ISTs focus on, is assisting them in working through those systems. A big part of this is not so much about the tool, it's more about the grading methodology we're using. There's far more questions about how we use standards-based grading than there is about what are the mechanics of using software A or B. Multiple school districts did recommend minimum mandate for Canvas usage. It seemed to backfire on those that did the actual, hey, you're going to use this system. There are a lot of schools, high schools, that will say everybody's going to go ahead and put their Canvas courses in. Those have not gone well. Canvas was wondering if we were going to do that. We did not, and our usage data was pretty high. So this was 15-16. We had about 50 courses in place, about 200 or about 135 assignments, which didn't surprise me because we didn't really adopt it till late in that year. But if you look at the next one, which is 17-18, I actually, in the board packet they have another year in the middle, but I just kind of skipped to the end on this one. There's about 164 courses, about 8,000 assignments, and I know you can't read it, but there's a small, I moused over one of the weeks, and there were over 62,000 page views that week. That week. So that means there's a lot of people using the system. The adoption has been quite high, and that's been very effective for us. I won't read through these because we're almost at, oh yeah, we're at 15 minutes. So, but here's just 4 of the positive comments that we had. I had 2 pages of these that were submitted to us. So just to let you know that our teachers are using it quite well. So any questions?
Dr. Gunlock, can you please explain very quickly related to, we know that 84%, we have a saturation rate of 84%. In other words, we know of our student population, 84% of them have at least a guardian or a parent, someone who is responsible for that child, who has access to our systems. But then that beckons the question, okay, well, what about the remaining 16%? So can you please address that quickly on what we are doing to ensure that we have communication and that we are actively pushing this communication out to our parents so that they can remain engaged?
Well, it starts with the teacher and with them communicating with their parent families and realizing that's occurring. We also asked our building principals at our all admin meeting this week, you know, how is that going? We shared the same data with them. They're continuing to work on communicating with parents and having staff there available for the parents as they sign up, because some of them might not be interested in doing that. We have some parents that want paper, and we still gladly provide that paper if they request it. In some cases, we have some people who may not understand exactly how to use the system, and we provide the supports with that as well. The other advantage of Canvas and Infinite Campus is that they have a real solid support line as well. So they can provide help even 24/7 when we're not available. So there's quite a few avenues we're using to increase the quantity of what that number is. Mind you, that's just the IC portal number. The Canvas number would be a little bit different because that's 6 through 12. It's also important to understand there is a learning management system at K-5. That's Google Classroom. And those are the two, that'll be interesting to see over time as Google puts more money into this, if they will disrupt the environment with an additional option for us. So.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your diligence and effort in preparing this report for us this evening.
You're very welcome.
Thanks. All right, with that, we will move into the workshop on health insurance, which Sue Schnorr has prepared for us this evening. Mrs. Schnorr.
It isn't right. It isn't working.
I don't think it's working.
Hey Kim, I don't think the clicker's working. I can get new batteries for it, but for right now, I'm just gonna give you this. so that
Oh,
you can
wonderful.
click
I
away.
can steer, I can drive from there. Oh, thank you. Just a little background. In the last time the district bid out health insurance was in 2011, and at the time we changed from WEA Trust to Group Health Trust in January of 2012. I guess I should introduce with me is our benefits consultants from Associated, Marty Burns and Greg Beese. They work with the district on our consultants for benefits. They assisted us with this bid process. The key thing is there's a fine balance between bidding out too often, because if you bid out too often, then vendors won't take you seriously. If you don't bid out enough, then it can affect your cost long term. We also had started talking about bidding out a couple years ago, but as you'll see in the future slides, our claims are running at like 123% of premiums, which we've got some plans to try to get a handle on, but our claims are really, really high. And that's been going on now for a couple years, and so we didn't seem like the time was right to bid out when your claims are running that high. But because we haven't bid out since 2012, we actually have a strategic benefits committee, and that committee has a strategic plan for the next 5 years of how we look at benefits, and it was decided that we should bid it out this year, even though our claims are pretty high. So we have, as I said, we have a strategic benefits committee that interviewed 4 vendors. They interviewed Group Health Trust, which is our current vendor, the Wisconsin Education Association Trust, WEA, Anthem, and then Network Health were the 4 vendors that our strategic benefits committee interviewed. The Strategic Benefits Committee includes representation from all employee groups. So our NTEA, which is our Non-Teaching Education Association, which is our custodial maintenance and our clerical. OPEA, which is our paraprofessionals. OEA, which is the Oshkosh Education Association, our teachers. We had food service represented and administration. They're all represented on the Strategic Benefit Committee, but they are also provided representation at the interviews for these vendors. The renewal date is January 1st. So GHT is our current provider. They've been our providers since 2012. They are a broad network coverage. They do have in-network and out-of-network, but their in-network is very, very broad. There are very, very few of our employees, probably less than a few percent, that go to an in-network provider. Yes, an out-of-network. Thank you. No, I appreciate that. Thank you. That's why they're here. Is so when I say something wrong or say something stupid, they can jump in and correct me.
I thought you were testing them.
I was testing them to see if they would. Their renewal for January renewal was a 13.5% increase, which is approximately $3 million. I budgeted an 8% increase. And the reason, of course, is because our claims are running at 123% of premium. So this company is losing money on our district. They did propose some benefit changes to maintain an 8%, to get that 13.5 down to the 8%. And basically what the major change, there were a few minor changes, but the major change was changing the definition of preventative care. Because it's a group health trust, they don't have to follow industry rules for insurance. And one of the industry practices is for preventative care. If you are, I'll just use a mammogram. If you're getting a mammogram because it's what you do that year, they call it preventative and it's covered at 100%. If you're getting a mammogram because you have a condition, insurance companies look at that as not preventative, but you're getting it because you have a condition. Group Health Trust grants the first preventative test in any given year as preventative, regardless of whether or not you have a condition. So in the example I just gave, if you're getting a mammogram because you've had breast cancer in the past, some other insurance companies don't call that preventative. Now they still cover it, but the employee has to meet their deductible and co-pays first. GHT is always considered that preventative, regardless of whether you have a condition or not. What they would do to get that 13.5 down to an 8 is change that practice. So does that kind of make sense?
And that one change would get us back into the 8% increase.
I believe so.
There were a few other minor changes, but that was the major change that would impact.
Do you want to come up, Sierra?
Please come on up to the mic. Sorry.
Sorry, I talk really loud. There were some other minor changes, but that was the one that provided the most reduction to be able to get us the most dollar reduction for us. So that is a non-industry standard method of paying for one service per year. So whether it's your mammogram, your routine physical, your colonoscopy, that's always a confusing part of our benefits. And if it's filed as diagnostic, most insurance carriers pay it subject to deductible and coinsurance, and Group Health Trust is the only one that pays one per year regardless of diagnosis.
The other next vendor we interviewed was the Wisconsin Education Association, or WEA Trust. They actually provided 2 quotes. They provided a quote to match existing benefit plan. All of these vendors were asked to match our existing benefit plan. That's why I'm not spending a lot of time talking to you about co-pays and plan coverage, because all these vendors were asked to quote on our existing benefits. So their first quote matched perfectly our existing benefits. That was $120,000 below the budget. When I say that, I mean the 8% budget increase that I put in. Then they also did a proposal that increased out-of-network coinsurance and deductibles. That came in at about 1.3% or 1.3 million below budget. That increased coinsurance just from 80%, or decreased from 80% to 70%. So now if you go out of network, we only pay 80% of the claim. This would change that to they only would pay 70% of the claim if you went out of network, and it would raise out of network deductibles, as you can see there. That came in at 1.3 million below budget. We interviewed Anthem. I have to, in the PowerPoint that was shared with you, I said that it was a narrow network. It is not. I was mistaken. It is not. They're proposing a network, in network and out of network, but it's not a narrow network. Like the next one is going to be network health. Anthem has in network and out of network, so it's not a narrow network. They are proposing the WCIC network, but it's not. You can still go out of network. You just pay higher coinsurance and you pay higher deductibles.
The WCIC network, I don't know what that means. Is that the same doctors that people are seeing now or not? Is that a totally different network?
No, you go ahead. Yep. So WCIC is an insurance company that's a partnership between Anthem, which is the Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance plan in Wisconsin, and Aurora Healthcare. They have partnered to form an insurance company called the WCIC. And that network is a broader network than just Aurora, but the in-network benefits are not all providers like you have today. Essentially, virtually all the providers are in-network. So it would be Aurora, it would be ThedaCare, and it would be other affiliated providers across the state of Wisconsin. So it is.
But it wouldn't be like a wholesale, like switching from Aurora all the way over to Mercy or whatever.
Correct.
Okay.
But Mercy is not, and the Ascension system and other providers, and you'll see those in just a minute, you'll see the logos of those providers, but so it is a network that is not as broad as today at the in-network level of benefits, but there is an in and an out.
Okay.
I do also want to just make a note that the deductibles are about twice of what the current deductibles are, and we would not be able to apply the health reimbursement that you currently have today to those out-of-network benefits. So this would be truly an out-of-pocket expense if employees go out of network. So I just want to be clear on that. And so it's a little different than what you have today. Because you're
After-tax dollars.
Yes.
Right.
Well, yes, after-tax dollars, they could put some money in a flexible spending account that could help with the the pre-tax dollars. So there's some ways.
With limits?
Yep, with limits, but by and large, it's going to be your after-tax dollars.
This was roughly $2 million below budget, below that 8%. One of the main changes for employees is Anthem cannot, we currently have a $500,000 deductible for the employee. The employee has a $500,000 deductible. We as a district, the district has a $4,000 deductible, and we fill that difference with an HRA. So the employee is responsible for the first 1,000, but then, or the first 500. When they hit 501, the district's HRA kicks in until they hit 2,000, and that's when the health insurance kicks in. Currently, now Anthem could be working on, but currently Anthem does not talk to Diversified Benefit Services, which is our HRA provider. So the employee would have to, even when they're at $501, they will have to pay the full $2,000 and then seek reimbursement from Diversified Benefit Services for that $1,500 difference, because Anthem doesn't speak with Diversified. That's just a. But the employee's contribution towards health insurance premiums will go down because they're lower premiums. Anthem has also, in full disclosure, agreed to give us an on-site nurse. And I didn't include that because I'm a little concerned about the benefit of an on-site nurse when we have 23 sites. They did offer to give us an on-site nurse.
The other question I had, and I don't know if it's pertinent right now, but I'm wondering, whatever happened to the Three Ways Clinic?
We still have the Three Ways Clinic.
Okay, so we're still utilizing that?
Right, we're still using the clinic, and all of the providers have agreed to help pay the cost of that clinic.
Good.
So I didn't include that either because all of these 4 providers all agreed to pay either part or something towards the cost of that clinic. So we still have the Three Ways Clinic for our.
And what is our utilization of the clinic? How many of our employees go there? What
I
percentage?
didn't bring that right
Is
off
it
hand,
low?
but
I mean,
can
it
get
used to
that
be low.
you.
It's getting,
It's
it's
getting
getting
better.
significantly better.
Okay, good.
And we're putting in some additional steps and measures to
Good.
increase that utilization even more.
Okay.
And that's a really important point to remember because all employees on the health plan have access
Right.
to the clinic. So
Right.
it takes a little bit of the pressure off
Right.
of that in-network, out-of-network
Yes.
because everybody has access to the clinic
And
that's on the
part
health
of
plan.
the impetus for us to do that was to try to keep, to
Exactly.
rein in these increases so that we didn't have to monkey around with.
And
So-
it's being successful. I mean,
is.
we're growing, slowly, but we're growing.
Okay, good, thank you.
And we do have a return on investment from that, because every time an employee goes there, it's free to the employee.
Right.
And it saves us because it's a much cheaper way of going than to an office visit.
Yes.
So if we were to go down the path like GHT, where a preventative exam is covered under your deductible, they could go to the Three Waves Clinic and have it
Totally covered.
But we don't do mammograms or
We don't do-
colonoscopies or anything like, we don't do any of the major scans at the clinic, but
Sure.
your physical
Okay.
could be done.
Got it.
And to clarify, so the on-site nurse would be independent of Thruway, it's not going to be a school site-based additional RN?
Correct.
It'll be- okay.
Correct.
Provided by Anthem.
Now,
And Aurora.
Now, maybe you could house them at the clinic, because with 23 locations,
They need a home base.
how do you decide where you put that on-site nurse? But it is a benefit that Anthem has agreed to provide us. And these are the providers in network. So again, as I said, you can go out of network and still be covered. You would just have higher copays and deductibles. But these are the providers that would be in network. And the last bid is Network Health. They truly are a narrow network. It is truly an HMO, meaning that if you do not go to a doctor or a facility in their network, it truly isn't covered. Under all of the other three providers, if you go out of network, it's still covered, but you have higher deductibles and higher co-pays. Under this option, it would not be covered. But this was $4.3 million below budget. They eliminate the employee office visit. We currently have a co-pay for office visits of $25. Their plan eliminates that. That's the only difference in all of the, otherwise all the other plan coverages are the same. And again, because our premiums would actually go down, the employee's contribution towards health insurance would be less. These are the providers in the network. The ones, I think the difference in the color is because some are actually owned by network and the others are not owned by network, but they are in Network Health's network of providers.
Are any of these in Oshkosh?
The Ascension system is
I don't see it.
Mercy.
Oh, there it is, okay. Thank you.
They also did provide us a POS option or point of service option where employees could choose a plan that allows them to go out of network. But the monthly premium cost would be $284 for a family, greater than the network option. And for a single, it'd be $127 per month more than
That's not
the
total,
network
that's
health.
additional.
That's additional. That's how much the premium would be for the POS system
On top of-
above,
on
on
top
top
of,
of the narrow network option. So they provided the narrow network option, and they also provided this POS option, so people could go out of network.
And then what
but
would the
premium-
coverage be if they did that?
The coverage is the same.
Okay.
It's just additional cost, except their deductibles would be higher, okay? So, but what is covered would be the same under both. The important part of this is a once-a-year election. You get either the HMO or you get the point of service, and once a year you have the choice of going in and out. Make sense?
Sorry, one more question.
Okay, no.
If that additional cost to do a POS did you guys, what is the decrease in the premiums that they'll be paying with the HMO versus?
Right.
Like, is it, if I multiply that by 12?
That's the next question. I provided that, and
Oh,
I'm
good.
sorry this is blurry, but I did I did hand this out to you in a handout because I know it's kind of blurry here.
Okay.
The top line shows that our current premiums is $16.23 for a family plan, $727 for a single plan. So then on the bottom two rows show what that is on an annual basis. We pay $19,400 for a family plan on an annual basis and $8,700 for a single plan on an annual basis.
Okay.
What the top then does is shows what the employee share is of that premium. So the employee share currently, the employee pays 12% of the health insurance premiums. So under the current plan, an employee pays $194 a month for a family plan, which is roughly a little over $2,300 a year for that family plan. If GHT, we accepted the 13.5% bid increase, the employee share would go to $221 a month for a family plan and $2,600 a year. Under GHT, if we accepted their 8% bid, the employee shares $2,500 a year. The network health proposal would have the employee share being $172 a month, and a year would be $2,070. Now, if we accepted the network health point of service plan and gave the employees the choice between the $172 or the employee could choose to pay $456 a month to be part of the POS plan. So you'd have to, network health's requirement is that we would offer employees both plans. So the employee could choose which plan, and they would have to pay the difference between the cheaper plan and the POS plan. There are more and more districts going to offering employees choices in their health insurance plans, and we have not done that. I don't know if the district ever did that, because I've only been here 6 years, but more and more districts are going to offering employees
But
health
why
insurance
would we
options.
pick network health when at about the same cost, we get all of the things that the POS would get at the $2,500 a year for the employee?
Because the district cost is gonna be much less with the network health, so that was about a $4.5 million.
It's also much less for the employee, but if I wanna bump up to the $5,500, if I wanna pay the extra so I can go out of network and have everything covered, I don't understand why we as a district would choose that when I can get that with these other plans.
But the employee is paying the full cost.
So it's
of
just for
POS.
us.
Right. We still have the full savings under
Our budget.
under network.
looks
The
better.
savings that I presented in the $4.3 million.
Yep.
The district is still getting the full
So we
$4.3
get $4
million
million.
because the employee is paying the full cost of the POS.
If they choose that plan.
If
Do I
they-
have
If they choose that plan.
I have it correct that network, we're either all in or all out, we offer both options?
We can offer both options.
We're not bound to offer both, we don't?
No, you're not bound.
Okay.
It's either just the HMO or the HMO with the POS.
You
okay?
can't just
We can't
choose
just
the
choose the
POS.
POS.
Yes.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then the final one is the Anthem bid that the employee would pay $191 for a family plan every month, which is roughly $2,300 a year under the Anthem plan. That kind of outlines it, because all the other slides really talked about the district's cost. And so each individual slide where I showed you the budget cost, that's truly what the district's costs and the district's savings are. This is really showing it from just strictly from an employee standpoint and the employee share of that premium.
Mrs. Schnor, you had shared in the listening session that approximately 60% of the claims currently are attributed to one provider. Who was that provider?
There's some debate over whether that is an accurate figure.
Okay.
That's why I kind of glossed over it.
Okay.
If you would ask Aurora, they would say that more like 70% of our claims are in the Anthem's proposed network. I think some of the confusion comes because some doctors are in more than one network, and it's a snapshot in time.
Okay.
So I really didn't spend a lot of time going over that, because there's still some debate as to which number is accurate.
Thank you.
We're very we're very certain that there are more employees and members of the Oshkosh School District Health Plan that use the Anthem network than use the Network Health Plan network. So we call that disruption. There is definitely more disruption with the Network Health Plan network of providers than with the Anthem network providers.
But there would be disruption with both, because
There's
we do
disruption with
currently
both.
have plans, we do currently have employees that are in both networks.
Right, right. Good point.
So if I just add to the chart that you had up there, if I just look at how much money then as a district as a whole, just looking at our budget, the GHT, if we just use the 8% increase and we change our definition of preventative care, we're looking at an increase of just over $1 million. Yeah, 1.2 million?
Well, that's what's in, that's
No.
actually, this
Oh,
bill,
no.
this
Oh,
budget
okay,
is
gotcha.
built on, the budget that was presented tonight is built on an 8%
Increase.
increase
8%,
based on GHT's
Which is
proposal.
about a little over $1 million.
Right.
Okay. No, you're
A little over 1.2 million more than what we're currently spending on healthcare.
Okay. So when I look at Anthem, which is, sounds like it's the closest cousin of what we already have,
Mhm.
and when you say that it'll be a decrease of 2 million,
Mhm. Right, it's a decrease, it saves the district $2 million over an 8% increase with staying with GHT.
so that one really is a savings then, right?
Right, the Anthem
Okay.
and Network are both true savings to the district.
Anthem and, well, Network, absolutely, but yeah, they can't see anybody.
But yes, Anthem also
They
provides
have no doctors.
roughly $2
Yeah.
million in savings.
Okay.
WEA also provided
Yeah,
some
that was
savings.
100 grand, so it's a
Right.
wash. Okay.
Can you go back to Anthem? Because I'm looking at it and we're wrong on here. My thing, we looked at it again, so, which I'm going to ask quick publicly, if we can get this changed so that when people at home go to look at this, cause this is the public forum, can we get this changed to the correct verbiage then? Or is it already out there and we just had the wrong one because this is on my drive?
Right, you have the wrong one.
Right, but the public has the correct one, like what's out on our website?
I ran out of time to
No,
repost it
perfect,
today,
that's
so we
fine.
can repost this up
Yes,
there.
please, because everybody's gonna go home and look at that one and it's not, you know what I mean, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Anthem, we'll take out narrow out of here and it's not a narrow network.
Right.
So can you tell me again what Anthem is? So Anthem is, cause in my head, I align them with the hospitals, obviously, cause that's
Mhm.
the big issue here. So if we have Anthem will
Providers.
cover Aurora,
Mhm.
right?
There's all these providers.
It does not cover Ascension,
Correct.
but they have, if you wanna go back, because it's not the same on mine, Sue. Thank you, I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
They do cover high coinsurance,
So they would-
80% in
You
higher
can still go to
deductibles.
out-of-network.
So you can
You
still
could
go out
still
of
go
network.
out of network, but the employee would be responsible for paying 80% or 20% of the claim, and they would have to meet their $4,000 deductible before it would pay.
80%.
A 4,000, is that family or is that
That's
individual?
It's individual.
No more
8,000
than
for the family.
8,000 for
Oh,
the
yeah,
family.
if I looked at it, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So under the Anthem plan, they could go out of network.
Right.
And it would still be covered under the insurance, but they would pay 20%, and they'd have to meet the 4,000 per person, 8,000 per family deductible.
And if we're going off these kind of murky numbers, so if we have 60% of our claims, not participants, the claims, are at Aurora, so is that saying 40% of our claims are at Ascension, or is it 40% of our claims are like split up? So if we don't, you know, because obviously our staff are going to be going to either those two hospitals or the doctors in town are associated with those two hospitals. So what is that other 40% that we're missing on our claims? Is that 40% all of Ascension? Is that 20% Ascension, 20% at different, out of state?
We roughly said that 40% of our claims
Okay.
were in network.
She just told me. Got it, okay. I didn't see that part on the other ones. Okay, thank you. Okay.
I think we already talked that we still have the Three Waves Clinic. All of the vendors agreed to pay towards that Three Waves Clinic.
Good.
All of the vendors agreed to give us money for wellness.
Another question I had from the listening session was, that one I asked. I wanted to know, have any of these offered, cause I personally, I've gone through, these changes, with my insurance, with my family. And will any of them or all of them give us a specialist for the income? Cause you keep saying, in all of our meetings that they'll work with you. If we're switching doctors, they'll work with you on, on specialists and trying to find your doctors and help you. Is there going to be a specific person for the Oshkosh Area School District staff? Or is it just they're calling and they're gonna get anybody?
No, there'll be specific.
There'll be one specific person or two people.
Yep.
Just assigned to the Oshkosh Area School District.
Yep.
To
Anthem
do- to
refers
cover all
to
these
those
and-
nurse navigators. They would, and both Network and Anthem provide an individual that you would have the name of and be able to contact if you want to find out.
Yes, and they'll be able to speak with the same person, so they don't
Yes,
start all over
yes.
and go through all these people or
No,
wait or.
correct.
We'll also bring parties on site.
Right.
Okay, to help.
In the initial conversion.
At the enrollment meetings and following the enrollment meetings.
All the companies will
Yep,
do that?
Yep.
A question for our panel. I can't help but feel that context might be helpful. Realizing that we as a district don't operate in a vacuum and healthcare isn't delivered or purchased in a vacuum, is it possible, without just sort of picking numbers from memory, to talk about where our health plan or where our coverage falls compared to other districts perhaps, or towards a historic context, or towards private sector, like how's our coverage? How attractive is our district? How do our employees feel, either currently or past or proposed changes? Is it possible in any smart way to speak about where we are, what it's like? If that's not too vague.
Want me to take a kick at that, Cam? I think we heard in the learning session today.
Listening.
The listening session
Yeah,
today.
it was a listening
It was a
session.
learning
It was
session
learning,
too. That the employees and dependents of Oshkosh Area School District feel very strongly that the benefits are excellent here. And that's some of the reason that people have joined the district. And it's some of the reason that they feel really good about working for Oshkosh Area School District. On top of that, as a consulting firm that works with multiple districts, 120 districts around the state, you would fall into that excellent category of benefits. You really do have a very competitive benefit package.
Both perceived and real.
Yes.
So we've heard from a lot of teachers that they are willing to pay more to keep our insurance where it is right now. And so I understand they're gonna change preventative care, but do you have any idea of how much extra it might cost them?
Well, on the handout that I showed you,
Okay.
so that I handed out, and I didn't keep a copy for myself, but I handed out a
But you mean the
copy of
preventative
under
care,
each
paying that.
plan,
Right,
what
they
it
take
would.
that away, but what's? the-
Yeah, I think you mean the actual
Yes.
cost to the employee upon
Correct,
the service.
yes.
The preventative care service, yeah.
Yeah, we don't have those numbers. Because your plan is a fully insured plan, we have HIPAA limitations on what data we can get really specific to conditions and people. So that's a privacy issue. So we do not have as much data as we would like to be able to determine that. We do know that that is a liked benefit and that it is perceived to be a real true benefit to employees and their dependents.
Again, those services are covered. It
They're
would just be covered after the
Right.
employee meets their deductible.
So by taking those away, that would standardize, because that's a non-standard benefit, that would bring it more into what the standard is for most other insurance carriers.
Are there other questions or comments at this time? Other questions or comments? Well, if not, thanks to Mrs. Schnorr and to her two consultants.
Partners in crime.
Partners, I want to say partners in crime. There's too much going on at the national level.
That's true.
From partners.
From partners, yes,
Partners,
yes.
Consultants, yes.
Friends,
Colleagues,
partners
all
and,
of those,
partners
all
and
of those.
friends.
There we go. So we thank you for your input tonight. It's been great having you here, and I'm glad you were able to participate in the listening session, because you then were also able to listen and learn as board members and administration was, what people are thinking. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. And thanks to our audience. We'd like to have an audience like this at every board meeting.
Yeah.
You're always,
That'd be
you're
cool.
always welcome to be here. We always have exciting topics. All right, thank you. So moving on, we will move on to the consent resolution agenda. For the consent agenda, the board has been furnished with background material on each item or has discussed it at a previous meeting. These will be acted upon with one vote without discussion. If a board member wants to discuss any item, it will be pulled out of the consent agenda and will be voted on separately. Is there anyone who wanted to pull anything from the consent resolution tonight? We will be pulling 1B. I'm sorry.
I thought about you.
I do. All right, then the board will consider approval of 1, personnel. A, appointments, temporary appointments, resignations, and salary schedule. 2, the 2018-2019 budget. Number 3, resolution authorizing temporary borrowing in an amount not to exceed $13 million. Issuance of tax and revenue anticipation promissory notes and participation in the PMA levy and aid anticipation notes program. And number 4, school safety grant priority number 2, cameras.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, excuse me, please call the roll.
Peschel.
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Carlin.
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Eliason.
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Evans.
Aye.
Evans, aye. Garner.
Aye.
Garner, aye. Herzog.
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Olmsted.
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Motion carried.
All right, resolution 1B. Be it resolved that the Oshkosh Area School District approve the retirements as filed with the Secretary to the Board of Education.
So moved.
Second.
I had asked to pull this one on the first day of school, on convocation morning. I was greeted by 2 long-term employees, one of whom told me he had about 8 days left and the other 30, and I couldn't believe it. We are accepting retirements tonight with a yes vote on 3 individuals who have served the district for many, many years. Fred Adamski has been at North High School, or is currently at North High School. He has been employed with the district since 1999. Glenn Potratz, maintenance craftsman number 2 out of the maintenance department, has been with the district for 30 years, joining us in 1988. And Pedro Valdez, maintenance craftsman number 1, is in the maintenance department, and he's been with the district since 1980. Older than some of the people who were in this room earlier tonight.
Still.
Or longer. But still.
There's 2 still.
Oh, that's true, several others. So, these guys have donated a lot of their time, energy, and effort beyond what is required in their job descriptions over the years, have saved the district, as many of our maintenance and craftsmen have, in terms of their skills and their creativity in fixing things for the district. So I want to wish Fred and Glenn and Pedro a long and happy and healthy retirement, and thank them for their service to the students and families of this school district. So with that, please call the roll.
Carlin.
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Eliason.
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Evans.
Aye.
Evans, aye. Garner.
Aye.
Garner, aye. Herzog.
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Olmsted.
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Peschel.
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Motion carried.
All right, moving on. Are there any individually considered resolutions? Any requests for future agenda items? Any announcements? All gone silent on me here. All right, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of number 1, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session under state statute 19.85, parent 1, parent E, A, health insurance bids.
So moved. Second.
Please call the roll.
Eliason?
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Evans?
Aye.
Evans, aye. Garner?
Aye.
Garner, aye. Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Olmsted?
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Peschel?
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Carlin?
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. We are adjourned.